Hi, my name is Abby, and I'm going to be leading this presentation for you about how we can support students that use assistive or alternative communication. I'm going to start by reading apart from this book here. It's called Ghost Boy, and it's by Martin Pistorius. Let's have a look. Barney the dinosaur is on the TV again. I hate Barney and his theme tune. It's sung to the notes of Yankee Doodle Dandy. I watch children hop, skip and jump into the huge purple dinosaur's open arms before looking at the room around me. The children here lie motionless on the floor or slumped in seats. A strap holds me upright in my wheelchair. My body, like theirs, is a prison that I can't escape. But when I try to speak, I'm silent. When I will my arms to move, it stays still. There is just one difference between me and these children. My mind leaps and swoops, turns cartwheels and somersaults as it tries to break free of its confines, conjuring a lightning flash of glorious colour in a world of grey. But no one knows I can tell them. They think I'm an empty shell, which is why I've been sitting here listening to Barney or The Lion King day in, day out for the past 9 years. And just when I thought it couldn't get any worse, Teletubbies came along. So this book is about a guy who has a physical disability, and there's a really good outcome in the end. He learns to use AAC. He's able to start expressing himself and his needs and his wants and desires. So highly recommend. So let's get into our presentation here. So communication really is the most basic need, okay? Being able to get your message across and being able to share things with other people is the most empowering thing. I don't know whether you've been overseas before or you've experienced being in another culture where other people are speaking in a different language. You might be wanting to try and communicate your needs. You may be needing to go to the toilet, or you might be unwell or sick, or there might be something happening that you're wanting to share, but you're unable to get that message across. And I know when I've been in that experience, it certainly is very disempowering, not being able to share those particular things with other people. And that too is the same, probably even more challenging for individuals that have got physical disabilities and aren't able to use verbal communication if they don't have a communication device or any way to share their needs, wants and desires. So communication and behaviour. So we see challenging behaviours from individuals when they are unable to communicate effectively. So there may be a 5-year-old student with autism that you're teaching who may have limited verbal communication, and so you are seeing a high range of behaviours. Quite often that is because they aren't able to verbalise, I want to go outside, hey, my stomach's hurting, I'm really hungry right now, I need some food. And so then you'll see behaviours instead. So us being able to teach the student how to communicate in a way that is more appropriate is really empowering. So why do we communicate? Some of these things I've spoken about already. So we communicate to express our wants and needs. So maybe to ask for help. If we're asking for food, for example, that's often the main one we think of, but there are a whole range of other reasons why we communicate. So to share information. So we might be sharing the morning news, or we might be giving directions or answering questions. Maybe for social closeness, chatting with friends, talking about what you did on the weekend, telling jokes, teasing, playing around. And then also to fulfill social etiquette rules. So saying please and thank you, using your manners in those particular ways. And there are a huge range of ways that we do communicate and reasons why we communicate too. So now we're going to talk in particular about students with complex communication needs and how we can support them. So there is a huge range of technology that can be used to support people with communication. So we have AAC, so it's augmentative and alternative communication. So these are strategies and tools that help people who have difficulty communicating to communicate more effectively. So it can be aided. So that means something that is physical. So it might be something like a pod book, or it may be something like an iPad that has a communication app on it. So this one here that has Prologue Quote to Go on it. So that's aided, or it may be unaided, so you don't need anything else. So something like signing is an example of an unaided. So AAC can help people communicate their message and understand what is being said to them as well. So who uses AAC? So people whose ability to understand or use spoken language does not meet all of their needs because of, so they may have little or no functional speech. So AAC, it's recommended that it's used even with people with partial speech. Some people believe that if they're using a communication device and that's stopping them from verbalizing, but that's not the case. The research shows that by using a communication device or AAC, model how to communicate, then that is really going to be enhancing verbal communication in that context. So speech that is only partially understood, speech that is only understood by limited other people. So for example, it might be a child who makes particular vocalizations. So he might make a vocalization when he's hungry and mum knows exactly what that means, and so she goes and gets him his bottle. But when he's out in public or if he's at school, he makes that same vocalization and you don't know what it means. So the student might be using AAC, so then they're able to communicate in lots of different contexts. And then also used by people who have difficulty understanding the speech of others, so it can help aid that too. Okay, so something we're going to be having a look at now is the AAC Bootcamp. So it is some things to be aware of when using AAC. I find this really helpful to go over every so often and just to be reminding myself of as well. With AAC, I guess there are some particular do's and don'ts, so we're going to have a quick look at them. So there's two columns, there's the don't do this and there is the do this. So the first one is don't expect a user to know how to communicate without direct models or instruction. So what the recommendation is that we model, model and model. So spending a lot of time showing the student how to use the particular communication device and then modeling it with them, so then they can develop that confidence. If I just handed this to you and was like, okay, off you go, you need to now go and use this, you would be like, what? I have no idea what that even is. So to be able to teach them how to communicate particular things is really important. So don't do all of the talking, okay? So it can be easy for us to okay, so don't do all of the talking. It can be really easy to just go keep talking and talking and talking and talking and then not allowing the other communication partner to be doing any of the communication, but we need to stop and then wait for that other individual to communicate. And it says here to presume competence. So say you're teaching a child to be indicating yes or no, and the child looks at the yes visual. So say you've got your yes and no visuals, and the student looks at the yes visual. So you're saying, did you like that story? Look to your left for yes. Look to your right for no, and the student looks to the left, then you would be presuming competence, not that it was just a random thing that they looked there. And you're saying, oh, you're looking to your left at yes, you're telling me yes, you did like that story. Okay, so we're presuming competence, that they are aware of how they're communicating and they're developing those skills. Don't over-prompt. Can be easy for us who have developed the skills already to be prompting for that particular student. So there is a prompt hierarchy. So that's like using physical prompts, then using things like partial physical prompts, so actually moving the child's hand, maybe then only partly moving the child's hand. There might be verbal prompts, so being really careful that we're not over prompting, giving that student opportunity. Don't only teach requesting. Okay, communication is a lot more than asking for twisties. So making sure that we're thinking about talking about your day, what you did on the weekend, pretending to make up stories, all of those different ways that we're communicating, making sure that we're giving opportunities for students to be able to do that as well. Okay, so the next one is don't reprompt too quickly. This can be challenging for us who like to jump in and quickly give the answer. We need to really allow time for that processing. So we may be able to process something quite quickly, be able to think of the response, but for some of our students, this can take considerably longer. So the advice here is to wait 10 to 20 seconds and with an expectant look before reprompting. So count in your head. So you might be saying, when you're asking your question, so it might be, let's use the book example again. So, okay, did you enjoy the book? If you think yes, you did enjoy the book, look to your left. And if you think no, you didn't enjoy the book, look to your right for no. And then you wait and count in your head for 10 seconds, so 10 to 20 seconds before them asking the question again and saying, oh, did you like the book? Okay, so we need to make sure that we give that processing time. Okay, so don't provide only nouns. So looking at what are the different type of language that you can include as well. So the different parts of speech. So looking at the verbs and describing words in addition to nouns. Focus on vocabulary that won't be functional use tomorrow. So often you'll see there's a communication board that goes with a particular picture book and you're just using that communication board for the particular picture book. Great that you're exposing the student to communication and using that, but use their communication device, whichever one that they're using, and use that and incorporate that with the picture book that you're reading or whatever it is, making sure that it is functional for lots of different contexts. And so then the information that you're using can be generalized and shared. Oh, this is a big one. Okay, don't remove the device. It's not like it's okay, everybody, we're going to be doing some communication now and get out our communication devices, all right, and then we're going to spend 10 minutes going through and communicating, and then it's like, okay, put them back into the backpacks, and then we'll continue on with our day. No, it's something that stays with a child throughout the day. This is their voice. So by us putting it into their backpack or them not being able to access it or us not using it, it's like us taking our mouth out, our voice out, and then putting it over there and us not being able to use it for extended periods of time during the day. So really important that it is accessible throughout the day. Don't move symbols. So communication devices, a lot of them are set up so that they are in set orders and in set places. So it might have the I, you, me, and then it will have like the want, like, go. So it's set up in sequence, and then it's got the different activities on this right side. And so to be modelling and for these students to be learning where particular things are, it's really important that we don't switch things around and move where they are and change the complete layout, that we are using this same one, so then there's that automaticity in finding particular things in particular places. Don't keep the AO system in their desk, cubby, or in backpack. I've spoken about that one already, making sure it's available at all times. And don't expect sentences right away. This does take time, and we can ask open-ended questions so the student is able to respond with as much or as little as they feel comfortable with. That's a little bit on the AAC Bootcamp. That is available online to be downloaded, so you can access that one as well. So the ability to effectively communicate is essential for life. So AAC that facilitates this for a person with complex communication needs are not only useful tools, but can be the key that unlocks that person's world. So it's a really important, vital thing. Okay, so in terms of communication, it's important that we're providing informal and formal communication opportunities. So things that are informal, so thinking about the regular parts of the day, the natural routines and tasks, and how we can incorporate communication into those things. So it may be when the student first walks through the door, and so then you have their communication device and you're saying to them, turn the page, saying to them, what's your name, or how are you? Thinking about ways that you can incorporate this into their regular part of the day. It might be that you're doing something in art, okay, and they have all different paint colours, and so then we go along through here and we go to descriptions, okay, and then I want to find the colours 24C here, and so the student can then choose what colour paints that they're wanting to use when they're painting. And talk about upcoming events as well. So model with their communication device. Maybe you've got something happening in the future. Maybe, you know, I'm wanting to tell you something. I've got more to say. Or I'm telling you something. I'm going to go to category 7, and it's about an animal. So I go to 21. Ooh. And I want to tell you, I really like pets, and you know, I'm going to be getting a pet in the page. I'm going to be getting a pet dog. Okay, so you can be sharing those types of things as well. And also giving students opportunities to be chatting with their peers, so using their communication devices with each other too. Really cool to watch. All right, so I'm going to go back to page 1. So structured opportunities for communication. So offering frequent choices, so between different activities, like I've said, yeah, like the colours during a painting activity. Also being aware too, when we're offering 2 different choices, so say for instance, I'm saying, okay, we've got a choice now, what would you like to do? We have got music or we have got bubbles. Being aware too that I may not actually want to do either of those things, so they can indicate no to both of them, and then say, you might say to them, do you want to do something different? And then being able to indicate yes, they do want to do something different. It's like us being offered 2 different choices and thinking, actually, I don't want either of those things, I want to do something else. So just being aware of that too. So creating a need to communicate. So maybe putting a drink bottle up, so then the student needs to communicate to be able to access that water bottle. Or objects in see-through containers, so you're wanting them to be requesting help. So then they need to request help. You may have the missing last piece of the puzzle, so they need to communicate that as well. So looking at how you can interrupt play or an activity so that you can create opportunities for communication. You may also have opportunities to ask questions and offer opportunities to respond, and then encourage group interaction. So maybe in morning group time, students are talking about the weather using their communication device, they're talking about what they did last night, those types of things as well. All right, so that is our general information about AAC, Augmentative and Alternative Communication. I will now be sharing some videos with you too about specific AAC devices and communication techniques, so feel free to view them individually. Thank you.